coming in, viewers. Viewers, over the last 78 days now, there have been differing versions on what exactly happened. On June 14th, the day Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead in his Mont Blanc apartment. In fact, there have been several inconsistencies in the versions put forth by Siddharth Pithani, Neeraj and Deepesh Sawanth, all of whom were present in the house. In fact, the inconsistencies are being investigated by the CBI as well. But now, for the first time ever, two WhatsApp screenshots from June 14th and June 9th have been accessed here on Republic that have raised more questions. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Shravan, who will take us through the details. Shravan, over to you.
Well, in fact, Richard, these are the two big clinchers that we are bringing to our viewers on this Monday morning. Two messages. One is of that very person who was inside Sushant Singh Rajput's residence, Deepesh Sawanth. And the second WhatsApp message that was actually from the actor himself. Now, what exactly is the significance? Remember, there has been multiple theories that have been doing the rounds, that the actor was suffering
from mental illness. The actor did not have any work. But today, for the first time, there is this clincher that we are bringing out to our viewers. On the 9th of June, the late actor got in touch with one of his closest friends. In fact, he was largely seen as the go-to person if one had to reach Sushant Singh Rajput. In fact, an e-commerce giant had basically got in touch with the actor's close aide because they were basically scouting for some sort of brand endorsement. And Sushant Singh Rajput was one of them. They wanted to get in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput. In fact, this close friend got in touch with on the 9th of June, saying that this e-commerce giant wanted to get in touch for a particular deal. To which Sushant Singh Rajput on 9th of June responded, saying that Deepesh Sawanth, the man who is now under the scanner, would basically get in touch to take this forward. We've now got a message that was sent by Deepesh Sawanth to Sushant Singh Rajput's closest aide on the 14th of June at 10:51 in the morning. Remember, there have been varying versions as to what really happened that morning. There have been several testimonies that have been doing the rounds, right from the cook Neeraj to his assistant and then Siddharth Pithani. Multiple versions that have been coming out. But what really happened between 10 to 11 was not known. There have been
10 to 11 was not known. There have been variations in this timeline. The time of death is still not known because remember, the autopsy does not make a mention of the time of death. The CBI does not make a mention of it. Mumbai police never spoke about it. But on 10:51, Deepesh Sawanth gets in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput's close friend, saying that Sushant Singh Rajput was talking about this e-commerce giant deal. What was the update? Remember, a person who, as many would say, was about to commit suicide, do you really think would have been worried about a deal that was going to be struck with an e-commerce giant? Now, that's the big question. But this morning, we're bringing to you this very conversation of the late actor with his close friend. And secondly, Deepesh Sawanth, the man who was inside Sushant Singh Rajput's residence on 14th of June, sent out a message at 10:51 in the morning. Copy of those WhatsApp messages are with us, which will also be put up in a short while. This becomes extremely important. Let me also bring in our guests at this point in time with this breaking news that we have. Yet another clincher that we are bringing to you, demolishing this entire narrative that the actor was suicidal, the actor was suffering from depression. This has been completely debunked by these WhatsApp messages. If I can also get to know who are the guests who are basically joining us on this broadcast, I'll try to go across to them and get a sense of what does this entire clincher essentially mean for this entire cover-up, as many would say. This entire cover-up that has now been exposed yet again by Republic Media Network. Let me try and bring in our guests at this point in time. If I can go across to Swapnil Kothari, who's joining us. Swapnil, this is yet another big clincher that we are bringing to our viewers. Two WhatsApp messages which have great significance. One that took place on 9th of June, the actor sending to his close friend, and the other on the 14th of June. Tell us what does this essentially mean? If the actor was suicidal, do you really think moments before this incident that took place, would he have really spoken about a deal that he was concerned about with an e-commerce giant?
Shravan, this is a fantastic piece of evidence, in my opinion, because I think this should pretty much, quell any thoughts or any doubts that people could have about, any suicidal tendencies, so-called suicidal or depressive tendencies of Sushant. And this is something which, the CBI should look at very closely. And I'm sure they must be having a, handful of these chats and possibly some more as well. And, they have the people who are there, who are absolutely there with Sushant, and who would throw much more light on this. And I'm glad that today Gaurav Arya and Riya Chakraborty are going to be interrogated, and maybe separately or together. But coming back to these chats, this is something which I think is one of the biggest things. I mean, on the 9th of June, if you're talking about a possible deal with e-commerce giant, that completely endorses all the notations that you have made in your diaries, about what you plan to do, what you intend to do. And, you're a person who looks deep into the future, and, you've planned your course of action for the next couple of years. And this clearly shows that the man is, looking at himself as some sort of a poster boy for, young people's, entrepreneurship in many ways, because he's not only an actor, but he thinks about many other things, organic farming and environment and all of those things, and physics as well. So I think this is one of the most brilliant minds that, unfortunately we have lost, that we are talking about. And, it's a, life cut short, unfortunately, by, all the people who, possibly were jealous of him, or who, who embroiled in him, or who sought to embroil him in many unwieldy things. And this is one of the best things I think the Republic TV has managed to get. And all the things put together, Shravan, will clearly establish, or that this man was not suicidal at all, and he was murdered.
Swapnil, let me also bring in Aniket Nigam, who's joining us on this broadcast. Aniket, we have seen the way Riya Chakraborty over the last few days, especially through this PR-driven interviews, have been peddling one sort of narrative. And that narrative is that the actor was a drug addict, the actor suffered from some sort of a mental illness, and also now there have been certain